8th of May, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi.
Hey.
Hello, Rabbi.
Everybody. Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting.
Okay, let's go. Yeah. Well, to posit tests, I believe.
Right.
I think it was your turn, Mayor.
Okay, well, let me read it then. It says, Uve kutzrechem et kitzir artzechem lo tikale ha'atzadcha litzor veleket kitzircha lo tilaket. Okay, so I guess when you harvest the harvest, I guess, on your land, you shall not complete the corner of the field, of your field, and you shouldn't collect.
No, 1 second. To harvest. Lo sachale pasotcho liktzor.
Oh, to harvest your harvest?
No, lo sachale. You shouldn't complete.
Oh, you shouldn't complete. Okay. Shouldn't complete your field. Okay. And you shouldn't.
The corner of your field to harvest.
The harvest, right.
Veleket kitzircha lo selaket.
Okay. And you shouldn't I guess take that of your harvest.
So we're going to see what leket is. Shouldn't gather up.
Oh, gather up.
Should collect. Let me see how I translated it. If you hold on a minute.
Lo tikale, you shouldn't finish.
Right.
The
So
corner.
the Gemara learns and the Mishnayos learn out that peah has to be left at the end of the harvest.
Okay.
Meaning that when you complete, or ostensibly, you would be cut down, you would harvest this section of the field as the completion of your harvest. Do not do so, but rather leave over the end.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that's what he said, sheyaniach, on this.
At the
You
end
should
of his field, meaning at the end of his harvest, when he's going to would ordinarily, right? If there had not been this mitzvah or this commandment, he would ordinarily have finished off his harvest with cutting down this corner of the field, harvesting the field. Do not leave that last corner. Okay, that's basically what they think. But the Mishnah says that without, it's a machlokes actually, a machlokes tanoim, whether it's considered peah if one leaves the peah prior to finishing off the harvest. Meaning, guy is, let's say he's harvesting his field and decides, well, I'm going to leave off this right corner over here of the field and I'm just going to pass over and I'm going to finish off on the left. Is that considered peah or not? So it's interesting. The opinion that holds that you can do that is because it says lo sachale pa'asadcha Liktzor, to harvest. This implies you've already left over the corn of the field, and then you go ahead and you can continue to harvest. Liktzor means to harvest, means subsequently to having left over the corn of the field, you're going to continue to harvest. So this implies you can leave over the peor, corn of the field, even in the middle of the harvest, of the harvesting.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. Anyway, that's the question discussed in the Mishnahs. Okay. Now that's one mitzvah. That's mitzvah of peah. Okay. And then the next is saying veleket ketzircha.
okay. So v'lechet ketzircha, and the gleanings of your harvest. Okay. Shibalim hanoshrim. So the stalks, I guess, that
Always reminds me of the thing. How do you translate? Leket is the gleanings. That's how I translate it.
he says the gleanings, yes.
Reminds me of the Star Spangled Banner. No,
Yep.
right? I'm a foreigner as far as that's concerned. But anyway, say, can
But
you
what would be another translation for leket then?
check out my?
I mean, he says, Rashi says the stalks that fall off or fall away.
Let me see how.
Okay.
Let's see how the more translation goes. Vayikra.
I can look it up in here, maybe leket. They probably would have the same thing.
I'm gonna take my phone in case you want to call me.
Okay.
Wait for 1 second.
Okay, leket.
Kedoshim. Here we go. Pasuk 9. When you reap your land's harvest, you must not completely harvest the corn of your field, nor may you gather the random ungathered stalks of your field, of your harvest.
They're random. Okay.
Well, that's what I added in random in brackets.
Oh, okay.
The ungathered stalks of your field.
Here it says either gleanings or collection for leket.
Yeah, because leket literally means something which you gather. Right?
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Right, that's the verb. The verb says gather.
It means it means ungathered.
Uh-huh. Yeah, in this
What
case.
you want to gather, but they're ungathered as yet.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why it says Shivalim Hanoshrin, the stalks that fall away,
Right.
the Sha'at Ketzira, at the time of the harvest. Achat Oshtayim, 1 or 2 times. So I guess they go over it.
1 or 2 stalks at a time.
Oh, at a time. Oh, okay.
About shalosh.
But 3, okay, that fall down. Einon leket.
Leket.
Oh, it's not considered harvesting, I guess, or gleaning, collecting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess because that's already considered too much. Yeah, sometimes if it's a small amount, then that's a negligible amount, right? But if it's too major, then once it starts getting 3 stalks, that's already it's not just off chance thing. By the way, have you ever done wheat harvesting?
No, that I haven't done.
So a number of years ago, there was somebody who organized organized visits to the field where you could fulfill all these mitzvahs. So kind of you rented, bought temporarily a section of a field,
Mhm.
and which was already fully grown and ready to be harvested. And that's what we did. So we think, and we went in there, hadn't harvest. And actually, when it grows pretty high, wheat grows pretty high. It's almost
Yes, it's taller than I am. That's for I've seen wheat, but I never planted it or harvested because of
actually it certainly gets to like average height of a person. It's a meter 70.
some of it's even taller than I was because I saw them harvest it with the machine.
But with a
harvest combine, right?
Yeah. The pizza. But anyway, then it's we did it by hand, like with a sickle.
Oh wow!
And it's interesting that it's not easy because the kunz is you've got to grab hold of the whole bunch of things, and then with a kind of an arcular stroke with the sickle, you cut the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And obviously you've got to cut in such a way that obviously you don't cut yourself, and then you don't leave anything, you manage to cut the whole thing. But it's obviously some of the professionals do it less, the thing, but it's pretty common to miss out one or two stalks when you're cutting, and also that the one or two stalks should fall whilst you're grabbing all the stalks of the grain, and you're grabbing them to make sure that obviously what you don't want to do too small group, because otherwise you're wasting time. And you obviously
Right.
don't want it too large, because then you'll lose some of them, and some of them won't get cut, and some will fall. So you've got to do an average size, whatever you can grab in your hand. But it's pretty common that stalks fall, which you don't manage to grab hold of properly, and those stalks fall aside. So saying over here, if one or two stalks fall, that's par for the course. 3, then that's not really par for the course anymore, and therefore that's why it's not considered leket. Okay, let's go on to Pasuk Yud. Is Lou around?
Yes, he is.
I'm around.
Okay.
Vichar Micha lo seoleo uferet kar Micha lo silakate le'ani v'lager ta'azov osam ani Hashem Elokeichem. You shall not harvest the young grapes of your vineyard.
Okay, so it's interesting. He calls it young ones. Let me see how I translated it. You see, I translate, you must not pick the incompletely formed grape clusters of your vineyard.
Oh.
So your translation or whatever is translating it as young from oilel, like a young person.
Oh.
Okay?
Right.
However, Chazal give a certain definition to this. What are oilelos are ones which are not yet fully developed. In a similar way, as a young child is not fully developed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you shall not gather the fallen fruit of your vineyard. For the poor and the proselyte you shall leave them. I am Hashem your God.
Now, the fallen, okay. So we're going to see, Rashi's going to think. Now, these mentioned here in these two mitzvahs mentioned here are particular to vineyards, which are not necessarily applying elsewhere. The previous one does not say anything about what type of fruit. It says, the corner of your field to harvest, compared to anything. So Chazal learn out there have to be certain regulations which have to be fulfilled in order to be able to, that field should be obliged to separate peah, to separate the corn of the field. Okay, it's got to be that you do the harvesting all in one shot, and what is harvested is kept not just on short term like vegetables, but can be kept for long term like fruit and grain, etc. Okay, the Gemara learns out various rules that apply. But here in this pasuk Yud says, "V'karamacha." Now, karam generally only refers to a vineyard.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Now, so let's see the Rashi over here. Lo so'ilel.
Lo sitol, you shall not take. O le los sheba, young grapes that are in a vineyard. Vehain nikaros, they are identifiable.
Means what's considered oilelos. That's what Rashi goes on to explain. Ezeu oilelos.
Which are young grapes. Kol she'ein lo safe. Any which have neither shoulders, velo not tafe, nor drops.
Okay? And this is a quote from a Mishnah in Peah Perek Vav Mishnah Dalet. Okay? Now, so the translation of young as a young group is not accurate. It means, as I said before, incompletely formed grape clusters. Right? If a grape cluster, a bunch of grapes which is incompletely formed, what is the standard form of a grape cluster? Is that it's got a kind of triangular shape. I don't know when the last time you went grape picking, or you bought a whole bunch of grapes as they come off the vine, but the most of them have like a triangular shape, as in the your classic pictures of the Ministry of Tourism. Their symbol is two guys carrying a bunch of grapes, reminiscent of the first tourists who came here to the land, i.e. the Meraglim. But anyway, that's how grapes generally, bunches of grapes grow with in a triangular shape, meaning they have shoulders. That's the two sides over here. They have shoulders, and netef, they have a drop at the bottom. Okay, now, however, where especially, and it's interesting, this was a separate outing which I took with my boys quite a few years ago, where we went grape picking with the specific purpose of fulfilling these mitzvahs. Basically, if you have a full bunch of grapes, so the bunch of one grape grows on top of the other, and it forms this triangular shape. Okay, but where it's very sparsely, you have the grape cluster is very sparse. and it doesn't, there's hardly any grapes on it, so it's not going to get that triangular shape.
Ah,
That's what we're referring to. So if it doesn't, if the bunch of grapes which you have is very sparse, has a sparse amount of grapes in each cluster, and as a result of that, because there's so few grapes, it's not going to hang on the vine as a triangle, like the classic grape cluster formation, but it's going to hang just like loose grapes. That's what we're referring to. That's called oilers. Okay? So then those you have to leave over for the poor. And this is what we're going to see over here. Okay? By the way, this when it says at the end of the pasuk, "Oni v'lager tazovu isom," for the poor and for the let's call it proselyte or the stranger, you shall leave them, is going back on Peah and Leket mentioned in pasuk Tes, and Oilelois and Peret mentioned in this pasuk Yud. Okay,
Uperet karmecha,
right?
gar garei navim, single grapes, ha noshrim, that they fall off, bishas b'tzira, at the time of the harvest.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting in Lashon HaKodesh, each kind of fruit has a different verb for its harvest. The standard terminology for harvest is kitsira, and that applies to grape. But for grapes, it's called betzira. For olives, it's called mesika. For figs, it's called kayitz. And for dates, it's called, I've forgotten now. Also has a separate verb used for it. Anyway, the Maisa, certainly in biblical times, when agriculture was the foremost occupation of most people, then each different fruit and each grain or whatever had a certain separate importance to it, and therefore that's why it's understandable why each type of fruit had its own name for its harvest. Okay. Ani Hashem Elokeichem.
Kechem, Dayan lehifareha,
Liporea.
who exacts punishment. Ve'eni
Now,
go.
what does that mean over here? Because it's really up to the farmer, his honest judgment to say how much payer he's going to leave over, and whether what he dropped, he actually, what he say, he can be tempted to say, well, these odd stalks that dropped during the harvest, well, they didn't drop, and without looking at, quickly chop it up. Oh no, I'm not going to give so much to the poor person. He's got plenty. There's enough dropped stalks over here. Why should I give him any more? Okay, etc. So therefore, it's left up to the farmer's honest judgment, right, to see how much he has. He's going to leave off the corner of his field, and similarly, whether he's going to pick up what the dropped stalks and the non-fully formed grape clusters, and etc. All these things which he's obliged to give over to the poor person, for the poor people, then he's the farmer may be tempted to overlook his obligation. So therefore, Hakadosh Baruch Hu reminds us, Ani Hashem Elokecha. I am Hashem, your God, and I'm a judge to exact punishment.
Hmm.
Okay? The Eini Goyve Mikem, continue.
And I take as payment from you nothing but lives. Shneamar, as it says, Al Tigzal Dal Vigomer. Do not rob a poor man, etc. Ki Hashem Yariv Rivam Vikava Es Kov A Hem Nefesh.
Nefesh, that's the important word here, nefesh.
Nefesh. For Hashem will grieve their grievance and despoil the lives of those who despoil them.
Oh, what's that word? Kover. I think it means actually take away. Hakadosh Baruch Hu will take the lives of those who take from the poor people.
Instead of despoil,
To despoil with the DE.
my English says,
Yeah.
and despoil the lives of those who despoil them.
Okay, could be, yeah. What I want to mention over here is that technically, let's say a person steals $100 from one person or $100 from another person, the prohibition of theft is the same. On the other hand, if he steals $100 from a poor person, that's devastating for him. Whereas if he steals $100 from somebody who's somebody who's rich, so obviously he feels the loss. You're not allowed to do it. He's absolutely forbidden to do it. But nevertheless, the feeling of devastation will not be there if it's by somebody who's a rich person. He says, okay, I had $100 stolen from me, but I got a lot left over. Whereas for a poor person who has this $100, losing $100 can be devastating for him. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu takes that into account. That if the person who, the thief, the one who steals, the robber who steals from the poor man, right? His sin of stealing is greater if he steals from a poor person than if he steals from a richer person. Okay. Let's see, we just got time maybe to do, let's start on the next pasuk. So Rashi there as well. Okay. Pasuk Yud Aleph.
Okay, it's let's see, lo tignovu, the lo,
Sechachachu.
the chachashu, the lo tishakru ish ba'amito. Okay, so lo tignavu, you shouldn't steal, and you should not tichachashu.
Okay. Nor may any man among you make a false denial.
Oh, a false
The
denial.
chakesh means to deny something.
Oh, okay. And you should not lie to one another, I guess. Ish
Well,
ba'amito.
Rashi's going to point out, I mean, lying is, just telling an untruth is forbidden in itself, right? But what we're referring to over here is the person lies and he makes an oath to that effect.
Oh, a false oath.
False oath. That's what it's referring to over here. This is what Rashi's going to point out.
Okay, so Rashi velo tichachashu. Yeah, where he said that deny falsely, it says. Okay. Lefisha Emar, where it says the kichesh ba.
One second, I think you skipped a Rashi.
Oh. Oh, because
Lo
I have to go back a page. Right, you're right. Lo tignavu, you shouldn't steal. That's
tignovu.
hara. This is a negative command. Lignov mamon
Gonev mammon. Somebody who steals,
steals money.
right.
Aval lo tigno, but you shall not steal. Let's
Sheba
see.
Aseres
So
Hadibros.
that says in
That's
the
mentioned in
Sarati
Aseres
Baruch.
Hadibros.
Okay, as hara lignov nefashot.
Gonev nefashot.
Oh, go knave.
So someone
Okay.
who steals people.
Oh, kidnapping. Whoa.
Right. That's the piece about kidnapping.
Okay. Davar alamed me'inyano. Okay, so this thing is
Learn
learned.
from context.
Oh, from context. It says davar shechayavin alav mitat bendin.
It's in a
Okay,
prohibition for which one is chayav. Somebody who transgresses it's chayav, death by bezdin.
death by bezdin. Okay, so now we can go to the next one. Lo techashu.
Yeah, 1 second. So, but Rashi, what is the connection? Because in the Seres Adibras, it says lo yitzirtzach, lo yisinov, lo yisignov. So the three put together, you mustn't murder, right? Lo yisinov, you mustn't commit an adultery, and lo yisignov, you mustn't steal. Now, the first two obviously are prohibitions for which one is necessarily going to be somebody who does it with intent, right? Is somebody who the punishment for that is death by bezdin. So therefore, from context, lo signoi, also not to steal, is also prohibition for which the penalty is death by bezdin. And therefore, what for regular thievery, for regular robbery, there's no death penalty. One has to
Right.
return the original object or the value thereof. But there's no death penalty. When is there, yes, a death penalty for thieving is for kidnapping.
Kidnapping.
So that's what Rashi means. That you halomed me'inyonoi. Okay. Dova halomed me'inyonoi. Dova shechayov in all of Mises best. Okay. I think maybe we'll just hold it here and we'll follow up tomorrow. Bezat Hashem, because there's a lot of
Okay,
Rashi.
so we'll do the rest of the Rashi tomorrow. Good.
Bezat Hashem. Okay.
Okay, have a Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov, good Chodesh. Be well.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
bye. Bye, Lou.
Bye-bye. Have a good day, Mayor.
You too now.